to hide this, because there's a reason I call out moon landing hoax, all these hoaxes, is because once you see them, they don't work on you anymore. Because the whole, when you engage emotionally with fake events or with programming, propaganda, engineered consent is what they call it. That's what they consider consent. It's an oath. It's like, yeah, I'm in it. If you don't engage, then you're not in it, and it doesn't work on you at all. And that's the real price of sin. I'll show you right now. Someone sent me this. I loved it. Sin is expensive, incredibly expensive, but the price isn't paid in cash. It's paid in mental, emotional, and spiritual pain. God didn't create an arbitrary list of do's and don'ts to see if we could follow them. No, he laid out a set of essential guidelines for living. His anger towards lying, stealing, cheating, coveting, murder, jealousy, and pride is because all of these behaviors destroy relationships. Everything that the Bible labels as sin is something that God is trying to protect us from. His desire is love, peace, grace, and harmony with him and with all of creation. Sin is our defiant reaction to this in an effort to satisfy our... I missed the end there. I posted it on my Instagram. Animal urges, I don't know. But the point is, this is what a lot of people don't seem to understand about sin. This is what I understood starting 3 years ago. Is that there's a reason they say what to do and what not to do in the Bible, because if you don't, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable to Edward Bernays. You're vulnerable to programming, to evil, to ego. We all have it. I battle with sin every day of my life. We all do. But the more you engage in it, the more ego you have. The ego could be, you could call the ego the other. It's not even you. You know, when someone has ego, they can't self-correct. When someone has ego, too much ego, you know, we all have it. I'm not trying to be this like guy that's trying to be above it, because I'm not above it. I'm swinging haymakers in the pigsty sometimes. But there's a sense, there's a vibe, there's a vibration that is susceptible to lies. And that comes from society engaged in sin. One of the biggest sins that America is guilty of, that allowed all this to happen, was pride. That these people started in Hollywood and started in media and started in the publishing industry and all of these propagated things by building us up. America's number one. Freedom of America. And everyone's like, yeah, we're the best. And then they start to twist. And until you're to the point where, you know, it's about self-hatred. It's about how there's no such thing as male and female. There's no such thing as America. There's no such, you know, that white privilege. Yeah, oh my God, are you progressive enough to vote for a black female communist who slept her way to the top of power? Oh, you're not progressive? You're not forward thinking enough to destroy yourself? You know, and there's in the deadly sins. Let me just read off the deadly sins real quick. And greed, exactly kind of compare, but the deadly sins. There's going to be a lot of smart boys in the chat today. I just took a peep in there, but that's all right. There's a lot of good people here. A lot of good people. It's really good to be back in the main channel. I just had to wait out the 3 months, and now we're back. All right, so we have lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, pride. My two ones I'm the most guilty of is wrath and pride. Maybe a little bit of gluttony when it comes to my wife's baking. Lust I've handled. Greed has never affected me at all. It's weird. It's weird how you're kind of immune. Like, really go through them and realize what you're immune to and what you have to work on, because that'll allow you to see what's coming at you. Sloth, no. I have that psychotic German trait of like, if loved ones didn't tell me to stop working, I just never would stop. Envy, no. Pride, yep. Pride and wrath. And so, granted, they're all in us on some level, but they're like, you have to really think about like what is what is your current weaknesses, you know? My favorite is rat. Sloth is Pelosi. Isn't envy a good source of motivation? No, you're thinking of admiration. Like, let's go through the 7 deadly sins. I know that this is coming to a point. To understand Edward Bernays and how he convinced human beings to put industrial sludge into all of our drinking water, you have to understand how we got there. So, lust. What's the positive side of that? Passion. I'm a passionate man. You know? You ask Amy. Amy's a very satisfied woman. Gluttony. What would be the positive? What exactly is a glutton? I don't know. I'll think about that one. Greed would be fortifications. You know, greed would be like acquiring a lot of stuff. Like I have a lot of bullets. I have a lot of water. I have a lot of, you know, but that's not greed. You know, fortifications. You know, stockpiling. That isn't bad. Greed is bad. Sloth. Restful is the good version of sloth. Wrath. Righteous indignation. Wrath is the bad version. Envy. That would be admiration. Looking up to somebody, like modeling yourself after somebody, seeing somebody as a role model. Envy is the green of envy is the upside down, the twisted version of that, where if you see someone that you want to be like, you hate them for it. You know, because there's a lot of hatred in lust. To just go from woman to woman to woman, there's a hatred of women in that. Because it's not the female nature to do that. And it's not family building. Pride. That's one that I battle with a lot, because I do have a feeling that I know is good that sounds like pride, but it isn't. It's more like to take pride in your work. There's another word for it that's the good version. I've had extended conversations with religious scholars and stuff on this topic, but I can't think of the word right now. But this sets the stage for Edward Bernays. Who is Edward Bernays? Edward Bernays is the double nephew of Sigmund Freud. He's the nephew of Sigmund Freud on his mother's and his father's side. Yes, incest is real. Incest is